Thank you for joining PGCMLS today for e-reading, my favorite tech and digital resources. My name is Gia, and this is a great time to give e-reading a try. And if you already read the occasional ebook, maybe I can encourage you to enjoy the experience even more. PGCMLS really offers a fantastic selection of digital books and audiobooks to choose from. We also have access to several newspapers, including the Washington Post and the New York Times. In addition to my phone and computer, these are the devices I've used over the last 10 years. I started with an e-reader in 2010 and returned to a dedicated e-reader in 2019. And while I love my tablets and all they're capable of doing, I find that I'm easily distracted when using them for lengthy reading. If you're new to the world of digital books, you may not know what all the hype is about. For me, the biggest advantage is that I can adjust the text size, allowing me to read comfortably for longer periods of time. For some people, it means they can read without their glasses. I never have to leave home to start my next great read, and if a hold becomes available at an inconvenient time, I can postpone delivery without losing my place in line. I always have multiple books to read on one lightweight device, and I love having a built-in dictionary. You may also be wondering what kind of device is best for you to read on. If your smartphone has a sizable screen, you might have all that you need. But if it doesn't, you may prefer a tablet or laptop because you will have access to every digital resource available at the library in addition to the computing power of those types of devices. However, if you primarily read for pleasure like I do and want to read for long periods of time, a dedicated e-reader might be the best choice for you. Dedicated e-readers read like print on paper. There's no light shining directly in your eyes. They're relatively inexpensive, sturdy, and comfortable to hold. My basic model is waterproof, and it stays charged for weeks at a time. This is what my e-reading style looks like. I often use my phone to see if there's a title available through the library. I might also read a sample of that book before borrowing it. If the title is available in audiobook format, I almost always borrow that because I enjoy listening to books when I'm cooking or driving and can't read. Audiobooks get downloaded to my phone. Also, I get daily emails from the New York Times and Washington Post with links to big news events, and I usually read those articles right on my phone. While I pick up my phone a lot during the day, the majority of my e-reading is leisure reading, and that's what my Kindle is for. I do use a tablet to browse magazines, newspapers, cookbooks, and the occasional children's book, but I mostly use my tablet for note-taking, creative pursuits, videos, and internet browsing. So get ready and buckle your seatbelts. We are going to go over a lot of information in the next 15 minutes. Think of this as a sampler of what you might enjoy. My goal is to introduce you to my favorite resources, not necessarily for you to master proficiency in each one of them today. First up is Overdrive for ebooks and audiobooks. Overdrive is probably the library's most popular online resource for e-reading. In this demonstration, I'm going to show you how I borrow ebooks and audiobooks using the Libby App by Overdrive. While you can also access your checked out items on the Overdrive app, most people strongly prefer the Libby App. I'm opening the Libby App on my phone, and I'm going to look for the title, The Dutch House. Excellent. It's available as both an ebook and an audiobook. Now, before checking out the title, sometimes I read a sample on my phone. Notice how my reading preferences like dark mode are even set for me when reading a sample. Even though I typically read on my Kindle, I find dark mode makes it easier for me to read on my phone. By pressing the center tab here, I can choose where I want to start reading. To check out the book, press back at the top left corner and then borrow. scroll down a bit, and hit borrow again. It just takes a moment for the book to load, and then you can start reading right where you left off. If I put down my iPhone and pick up my tablet a little while later, it will pick up where I left off. Pretty convenient. If I decide I want to read this on my Kindle or Kindle app, I need to go to Manage Loan, Read with, Kindle. And it takes me to the Amazon store, and I just say Get Library Book, and it sends it to my Kindle Paperwhite and my Kindle app. I never was able to pull off filming these devices in real light conditions, but at least you can get some size difference between a phone, a Kindle, and an iPad in dark mode and light mode. This is what audiobooks look like on Libby. It's pretty simple to navigate audiobooks in the Libby app. Obviously, there's the play and a pause feature. Here's Chapter 1.
Chapter 1. The first time my father brought Andrea to the Dutch house, Sandy, our housekeeper, came to my sister's room and told us to come downstairs.
Okay, sometimes I speed up some books a little bit. That's Tom Hanks reading if you didn't recognize his voice. So I just went up to the speed button at the top, and here I'm moving the speed to 1.25.
Your father has a friend he wants you to meet, she said. Is it a work friend, Maeve asked?
It's a little too fast. If you don't want to go in the increments they suggest, you can also use the slider bar to the right. When you're done with this screen, tap Hide at the very top, and it will bring you back to your main place. You can also set a sleep timer, and I do that when listening before going to sleep. If we weren't in the preview copy of the book, there would be a preset here where you could choose how many minutes to the end of the chapter. It would tell you how many minutes, and you could use that as your cutoff, and that's what I usually do. So actually, in addition to that, there's also a bookmark setting. At the top right, you can set a bookmark. And later, if you want to view your bookmarks, tap the group of bookmarks near the top right, and you can see all the locations you set bookmarks. Back to Hide, and we're at the home screen for our audiobook. Hope that helps. In case I'm running through these resources a little too quickly, I want to let you know about the PGCMLS YouTube channel. There you can find more in-depth information about the resources I'm going to show you and additional content that you might like even more. Now let's take a look at some magazines. When using a web browser on my tablet, this is one way of finding magazines and newspapers for the first time. Go to our homepage, pgcmls.info, and select the menu bars beneath our logo. From the Online Library tab, select Online Resources and scroll down to the alphabetical listing. I prefer to select Category and then Magazines and Newspapers. This is helpful when you're not familiar with the name of a platform you're looking for. I'm going to start with Rbdigital, which is near the end of the list. If you didn't know, Rbdigital isn't just for magazines. So if you want an in-depth look at the various types of media Rbdigital offers to library customers, check out the tutorial videos here. For magazines, we will just select Rbdigital magazines. The page opens to my checked out items. However, to select a new magazine, go to the menu icon at the top left corner. Select magazines, and you can either scroll through many pages of choices or narrow down your choices using the filter to search for a title or by selecting a genre. When I access Rbdigital through the app, it looks the same and saves me a lot of steps. Let's take a look at Cook's Illustrated. I've had this on my shelf since September of 2020. There's no time limit on magazines, and they remain in your account until you delete them. There are so many good articles. I keep coming back to it. I can flip through the pages like a magazine or scroll through the snapshots at the bottom to browse for something interesting. The table of contents is readily available, and I'm going to select Real Greek Salad. I learned some surprising things in this article, like soaking your onions in ice water to mellow the flavor, to using dried oregano instead of fresh. The articles display beautifully, and I have all kinds of formatting options if I want to personalize the presentation even more. Now let's take a look at Flipster. This time I'm going directly to the app. Access through the app is available on iOS, Android, and Kindle Fire devices. It contains 27 of our most popular magazines, including People, Essence, Time, and Real Simple. For more information about navigating Flipster, there's a tutorial on our website and a presentation on our YouTube channel. Let's take a look at what Consumer Reports has to say about tablets. As you can imagine, they rate iPads at the top of the list. But there is no point in spending a lot of money on features you won't use if an iPad is outside of your budget. So if you're mostly using the tablet for reading, web browsing, and videos, there are some good buys from Samsung, Lenovo, and some Amazon Fire tablets score well also. If you're looking for a smaller tablet, the iPad mini is considered the best. But again, Samsung, Lenovo, and Amazon Fire tablets score well again. And while we're on the subject of devices, I'm going to skip ahead to an article from the New York Times about e-readers. For most consumers, I wholeheartedly agree with what the Wirecutter recommends. The Kindle Paperwhite is what I have, and it is an excellent device. But I am really intrigued by the Kobo E-Readers. Kobo supports more file formats than Kindle, and you don't need an Amazon account to borrow library books. Overdrive is built right into these devices. All right then, let's move on to newspapers, the final resource I'm going to talk about. I grew up in New York State, and that's where my family still lives. I think it's great that PGCMLS offers access to the New York Times. From the PGCMLS website, you can browse issues of the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, Los Angeles Times, and the Chicago Tribune, but you can also get subscription access to the New York Times and the Washington Post. I'm going to continue with the New York Times, but what I want you to just take notice of is you have unlimited access for 72 hours. After that, you need to re-log in again following the process we're about to complete. So go ahead and click on New York Times, and then you're brought to this offer, and when you fill that out, that's when you get your 72-hour access. And you can either access online with the New York Times or install the New York Times free app and browse the New York Times that way. As an aside, if you want to get a subscription to the Washington Post, you have to do that once every 7 days, but it's free access to the Washington Post either online or through the Washington Post app. All right, so let's go back to the New York Times. This is what the app is opening to the morning of December 11th. It's a current selection of trending articles. Here's a fun one. What's Fauci reading? And it goes on to list several other celebrities and what they're reading. Next, I might jump to a particular section of the paper and see what's being reported on education. The articles display really well on tablets, and if you want to know specifically what's in today's paper, go back to Sections and select Today's Paper. You'll see the front page, and there you can scroll down through sections and choose the articles you want to read. So there you have it. You've seen my favorite tech and 4 of my favorite digital resources, and I'm hoping you'll check out some more on our website or go to the PGCMLS YouTube channel and check out some more tutorials there. Thank you for joining us.